Hello again, and I thought I would make a video talking about my angiogram, which I had to get done, which I think everybody gets done when they have a stroke, but I just wanted to talk about it because for me personally, this was probably one of the more traumatic things that happened to me along with the stroke. I mean, I'm not trying to like scare anybody if they have to get this done. Like, everybody's different, everybody's doctor's different, wherever they get this procedure done is different. This was just my experience with this procedure. So, what I had to get done was called an angiogram. Now I have it up on the computer here so I can kind of tell you all what an angiogram is because I didn't even know, obviously. So it says an angiogram is a diagnostic test that uses x-rays to take pictures of your blood vessels. A long flexible catheter is inserted through the bloodstream to deliver dye, the contrast agent, into arteries, making them visible on the x-ray. So basically my experience with that was I was under the impression that I would have some sort of anesthesia when I went through this procedure because somebody came in to coach me through the process of, I guess, the not only the procedure, but when I get the anesthesia delivered and I'm gonna meet anesthesiologist and it's gonna be Gucci and it's gonna feel like a Twilight feeling and I'm not gonna care whatever's happening. And I was like, great, because I was already scared to death and I was already feeling weird and in pain, and I just didn't. I wanted this to go obviously as smoothly as possible and as comfortable as it can be. And I was going into this thinking, it's gonna be fine. Like, no worries. So when they wheeled me to get the angiogram done the next day, I went into like this room full of doctors and I met the anesthesiologist and he was really nice and he introduced himself and then all of a sudden I just remember they were starting and I didn't get any anesthesia. And I was like, okay, this is really weird. Maybe, they give it while they're doing the procedure. I don't know. So what they basically did was, and I have like a tiny little mark right there. They got like this ultrasound machine and they were just like going over my wrist with it, trying to find, I guess, the artery, where they could insert the catheter. Now they were having a hell of a time because I guess they said my wrists were a lot smaller than they thought. And so they prepped my groin area just in case they had to go through the groin. So they can either go through the wrist or the groin. And so I just remember laying there. I was like, please, please, I don't want you to just find some artery in my wrist. Like, I really didn't want them to have to go, obviously, in my groin. So they finally found an artery. And they sent this catheter up through my arm, all the way up through my neck, and I guess into my brain or back of my head. And no anesthesia was given to me. So I felt it all. And this procedure, although it's a low percentage, can cause a number of issues, which one of the issues is a stroke. And I was told later on, I don't know how true this is, but I wasn't given anesthesia because I don't know if it was because of my age or because the anesthesia, they didn't want to give it to me unless I really needed it. Maybe it's in older patients. I don't really know, but they didn't want to give me the anesthesia, which I don't know why they would send anybody to coach me multiple times getting the anesthesia, like what it's gonna feel like, what I'm gonna experience. I don't know why they did that. So I felt everything. And, you know, for some people, maybe this wouldn't bother them, but it was really weird knowing a catheter was going up my arm into my brain, and I was just like, what is happening? What are they doing? Like, and when they administered, I can't say that word. When the dye was given in my head, for me personally, it was painful. For the kind of stroke I had, where they were shooting the dye to take these pictures, it was painful every time, for me. So every time they shot the dye, I was like, ow, this really hurts. And they were like, I know, we're almost done. So the procedure in total took about 45 minutes. And then I was in the recovery room for 2 hours because since it was an artery, they wanted to make sure, I guess, that it wasn't continuing to bleed after I had the procedure done. And so they put a cast over it and filled it with air, and then just kind of watched me for 2 hours to make sure, you know, everything was fine. But for me personally, it was very traumatic because I had expected one thing and it was a whole different experience for me. I don't know. It's just that I already have trust issues when it comes with doctors. So maybe that's why it was more traumatic for me, because I didn't fully trust these people, even though I should. And that's something I hope to get therapy for or talk to somebody about, because for me, this was very scary. You know, especially when they're sending something like up my arm, into my neck, into my brain. I could feel everything that was happening. To me, it was nothing like any procedure I've had done before. So it was weird. It was scary. There's a lot of emotions. I know, like, this is a very common thing for people to get when they have the stroke. I'm just looking it up here because I didn't really have a lot of knowledge on angiograms before I had gotten one. But it's saying here that they're generally safe, and any complications occur less than 1% of the time. More serious complications are heart attack, stroke, death, but they're very uncommon. And I think it depends also on your age. But yeah, it's, in general, you may return to work 3 days after angiogram. They consider a very minor procedure, but for me, it was very painful and traumatic. But I want to know other people's experiences with angiogram. How did it go for you? I know it's not that big of a deal, you know, for everybody. Like, they just go into it, whatever. It depends, I guess, on your stroke and how old you are, and there's a lot of factors that, you know, work into this procedure, like your experience with it. But yeah, I'm very curious if there's anybody else who had this done and your experiences with it. Don't take my experience and freak out. Like, this is just what I went through and my own struggles with doctors, and I just haven't had good luck with doctors even a year ago. So I was going into this, you know, more nervous, I guess, because I didn't fully trust these people. But I don't know. Like, I'm very curious about this, like how other people handled it and what they went through, and I would love to know because I remember being very afraid that I would have to have another one done. Like, that's just an irrational fear of mine. I kept saying, "Oh, will I have to have another angiogram? Is this, you got everything you needed, right?" Like, it was just an irrational fear of mine. Like, because it was weird. And it was just, I don't know, to think about like something going up your arm and your neck and then to feel it in your body, it was just like a really weird experience for me. But yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. And did you have any kind of anesthesia if you got this done? I would love to know. And yeah, just get back to me or message me, whatever, if you've had this before. Yeah, don't freak out if you haven't had this done yet, because it's very minor and there's less than 1% of complications, if any. So you have nothing to worry about. It was just weird. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll probably make more videos because I just want to talk about my experience, and I would love to know what you guys went through. Everybody's stroke is different. Everybody's recovery time is different. No two strokes are the same. Similar, but they're not the same. So if you have to get this done, don't worry. Alright, that's pretty much all I'm going to talk about today, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!